welcome back to New Realities. I am here with a very exciting rising star in the metaphysical spiritual community, Althea Lucrezia. She is an ET channel and a light language activator, and we're going to go deep into what her real mission here is on planet Earth, because obviously you're not from planet Earth. Is that true?
Well, aren't we all from far away?
We are. So what is your origins? I mean, people come into this, they're born, born into an Italian family, and then where did you discover all these connections to ET, star systems, and all that? I'd love to hear your story.
So it's quite interesting. My soul, as you can say, first seated in Pleiades. And I remember watching an interview on television when I was like maybe 10 or 11 years old. Excuse me. And there was this lady that was saying that she was from Pleiades. And something activated and clicked in my memory at the time. And I was like, I know I'm also from there. And then I started like researching and seeing that it was a constellation and whatnot. But of course, at the time, it wasn't really something that I could say to people, in normal and standard conversation. So I guess I had quite two very intense experiences between 2017 and 2018. And that's kind of like when everything started opening up, I started connecting, receiving more information. I started understanding how things work. I've always had psychic vision and intuition from when I was a child. I would have prophetic dreaming. I would, kind of like see shadows and things like that. And then when I did all my Reiki attunements and I started really working more with Reiki and energy, that's kind of like when everything opened up more. I did have a few ET encounters, which also obviously, open up your perception and your understanding. And I think when it's very physical and you actually kind of like, see them, there's not really much a leeway for the brain to doubt, sort of thing. So yeah, so I guess I would say probably back in 2017 is where I had kind of like my big intense experiences and activations, and then more in the year.
But when you had that, like, what visions, what did you see? Like, what actually happened to you? I'm just curious, like, what shifted in your personal understanding of reality? That's what's exciting for me.
Okay, so one of the biggest, most intense experiences that I had was actually here in Milano back in 2018. I was staying at a friend's place, and I was basically sleeping in this room, which was on the bottom floor, and we had the window, like the door window that was open. I couldn't fall asleep that night. I don't know what was going on. The next day I was flying, so I was really struggling to sleep. And then around 3 o'clock or so, I fell asleep and I started navigating the astral space. So I've always been very conscious and lucid within my astral realm. So I've always had lucid dreaming. I've always been able to know what was going on. And all of a sudden in my astral space, I'm running away from aliens. Like I know I'm running away from aliens. And as I start and as I run, and I see kind of like people drop dead like next to me. And then I physically start getting prodded in my lower back. And as that happens, obviously my consciousness like flies back into my body. And as I lift up my head, I see on the side, there's literally a little gray being in my face between the wall and me. So I'm lying in the bed. I lift up my head. I turn to my left. There's the wall. Between the wall and my face, there was a gray being like looking at me. He was wearing like a sleeve, like shirt, like a gray thing like this with a round collar. And as I see that, this is about maybe like 4 seconds or something like that, I get physically slammed back into the pillow, and I hear these beings leave from the window, which was open because it was summer and it was really hot and we were in like a safe complex. So that was a very physical encounter. Like that was a physical encounter that I had. And the next day, I was flying back to South Africa. And when I looked at the clock that I woke up, I saw that literally like 2 minutes had passed. And as soon obviously, like after that happened, I was like in quite like a state of shock. It took me about, like, I got up, I closed the window, and then I got in my bed and I was shaking. It took me about 2 hours before I could get the courage to actually go to the toilet and pee, because I was just like so scared and terrified. I was like, but I knew exactly what had happened. I knew these things were happening. I knew these things were going on. I just didn't think it was going to happen to me. So basically what I did is the next day I flew back to South Africa and I said, okay, I need to figure out what happened. I'm going to go find someone who can do some either like QHHT or hypnosis. I need to go back to see what happened. So I contacted about 5 different hypnotherapists until I found one who used to be a psychic for 9 years. So I said, this is the woman I need to go to. So I went to her and she brought me back, and it was very interesting. So as I went back, I went back as a higher version of myself. She brought me back there. And as the high version of myself, I addressed what I then saw were 3 little gray beings. And they were kind of like, it wasn't your standard grays. These were almost wearing these kind of like shields on their backs. And they had almost like an insect feeling to them. So then basically what happened is I looked down at these beings as my higher version of self, and I commanded them to leave. And all 3 of them turned around and looked up at me, and they were like, how is she accessing the quantum realm and ordering us to leave when she's lying there? They were like, no, this shouldn't be happening. Like, humans shouldn't be able to do this. Like, we need to leave. Like, this isn't what we signed up for, and then they left. And after that experience, like, I was like, okay, if there's not so good ones, like, then there must be really good beings as well. Why don't I try to get in contact with the beings that are working for the light? And that's kind of like how it all escalated. But that's what shifted my perception, what brought me into an understanding of the quantum, how we can access it. And then I started just working in those spaces. So I believe that experience was really pivotal for me and for my awakening.
But so you had that incredible experience, and lots of people. But then what shifted internally? That's what I'm really interested in. How did you become a different person? How did you think about reality? What was like, did you start to have visions and all that kind of thing?
Yes. So I started like meditating and like connecting more to myself, to my inner self. And I started, okay, so after that, it was like about a month after that experience, I started receiving very intense downloads to the point where for like between 3, 4, 5 months, I wasn't really operating on like a 3D level. I was like, I had a part-time job that I kind of had, but I couldn't really like focus or do much. All I was doing is I was just receiving information. And the thing is with me, I had done the research. Like I had been researching aliens and beings and sacred geometry for years and years and years. And what they were doing is they were just activating and connecting the dots within my brain. And that like opened up even more. At the same time, I was doing my Reiki. So I got all my Reiki attunements. So from my energetic level, I started opening up. And then my light language also activated within that year as well. I started channeling, I started opening up more. And then I guess slowly, just like by learning to listen to my higher self, and to my guides and whatnot, I shifted into what you would potentially call, a twin union with source consciousness. So I started operating from a space where it's, you're not operating for yourself or from the ego, you're operating for, a greater good. You're operating on a collective level. You're operating for something that is beyond you, sort of thing. And that's kind of like then when I, started my business and started working and put myself out there through the social media and things like that. I had quite an intense experience throughout my pregnancy too, which was during the lockdown in 2020. I had like what you can maybe say is almost like a near-death experience. I was in a very abusive relationship for a few months. And that was very intense for me, physically, emotionally. I released all and any attachment or control. I didn't have any control. I didn't have control over my body. I was pregnant. I didn't have control over my relationship because I was, in an abusive relationship. I didn't have any control over my finances because all my money was gone. So that was a big ego death for me as well. So I guess it was a series of events that happened in a very short amount of time that then brought me to operate from the space where I'm operating now.
Wow. So you had a baby then, right?
Yes, I've got a 3-year-old.
Oh, who travels with you. But
Yes, she does.
but from everything you're saying, it sounds like you're a star seed. I'm sure you would agree, and that you had come on with that intention of bringing this new vibration to the earth, right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Definitely, for sure. I mean, I always felt like I always wanted to an extent be a healer. I mean, I don't really like all these kind of like labels and words that we have, because we so, we infinite beings of light, so we're so expansive in every way and in every aspect. But like when I was younger, I wanted to be a doctor. Then I wanted to study healing in other ways. Then I did my Reiki. So I always knew that this was my direction. And when I then started doing soul fragment retrieval and remembering previous, past, parallel, future lifetimes of myself, I saw that I've done this in many lifetimes. So what I do as a starseed, as a soul, I'll do like cycles here. So I was here in ancient Atlantis and in Lemuria, then I'll leave maybe for like 1,000 years, then I'll come back and be here for another 500 years, then I'll leave and whatnot. And now it's a period of time that I'm here. So from what I've activated within my memory, that's kind of like how I work, sort of thing.
Right. So is your daughter a star seed?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's a star seed. So let's trace back your roots to the star seed place. Where are you from, and what do you think your mission was here?
So from my recollection, I first seeded in Pleiades. That's the recollection that I have. And I've worked here many different lifetimes. So when I was in Atlantis, I worked more with technology. So I worked with time technology. So what I would do, it's quite interesting. I have visual, so I get visual generally. Sometimes it's a bit complex to explain these things in like English words. But what I would do is I would work in these kind of like these temple spaces, and I would have almost like two portals, like space-time wormholes. That's the best way I can describe them. And then I would move either like planets or whole like fleets of like ships from one to the other, or whole constellations and things like that. And if you go look on my Instagram, I actually draw some of these. So I've got some of these, this Atlantean technology that I used to work with. I would draw. So in this lifetime here, I do a lot of timeline clearing for people. So I assist them in clearing patterns and clearing traumas, soul fragment retrieval. So I work a lot with the concept of, beyond the space and time, in your quantum realm, but a lot also in the 4D, where, there's just the limitation of space, but time is fluid as well. So this is kind of like what I've been doing in a few different lifetimes.
Talk about time technology. That's very interesting. What does that mean?
Well, I think we are the time technology. I mean, I just held a workshop now on the 11/11 where I explained to people how they can literally stretch or speed up time in their own experience. Like we can shift anything and everything that we want. If we want to set our intention to not be late somewhere and we focus enough, we are literally going to be able to stretch the time, because in your 4D and your 5D, because right now the 3D and 4D are overlapping, but in your 4D and your 5D and the 5D, there's no limitation of time. Time is fluid. So if we learn how to control this perfect energetic physical machine that we have, we can literally bend time to our will.
Well, how would you actually do that though? Like talk about like the mechanics of it.
Yeah, so basically I'll just give you an example. Let's say this is what I've been doing for like weeks and months, and then after a while they were like, you need to hold a workshop on this you must tell people how to do it. So I'll just give you an example. I'm taking my daughter to school, okay, to kindergarten, and let's say I need to be there by 9. Okay, to be there by 9 on standard time, it would take me 20 minutes, so I'd have to leave at 8:40, right? It's 20 minutes. It didn't matter what time I left. Even if I left at like 5 to 9, I would always be there on time. And I would ask myself, I'm like, how is this possible? And they were like, what you're doing is because you are because this is I always speak about divine timing. For me, everything is always divinely aligned and in divine timing. They were like, because you're applying this concept on the day-to-day basis in your life, it's almost like you are stretching the time it's almost like you stepping out of the 3D into another timeline where the time is slower, and then you're stepping back into the 3D timeline where the time hasn't moved. Does it make sense? So you never late. Another example that I can give you, this was back like maybe 2-3 years ago. I was flying, and I find that when you fly, again, all these concepts get kind of like mixed up. I find that I download a lot of information when I'm flying for some reason. I don't know if it's higher up and there's probably less chatter from the human frequency down Earth. So you kind of like more away from it. That's kind of like
that's why people go to the top of a mountain to meditate, because
exactly.
You don't get all that, except you pick up a lot of stuff from people on the airplane. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. So, and I was writing down some light language codes, and I looked at the time, it was like 3:00. And then I said, okay. So I write maybe like 6 or 7 pages. So what would be maybe like half an hour, 45 minutes. And then I look and it's like 3:02. And I'm like, how is this possible? And then I tuned in. They were like, no, you literally like just went into another timeline or dimension, channeled the codes, and then came back into the now. So, I mean, people are hopping timelines all the time. Like they just don't realize it, they like place the key somewhere, and then like after, like a few hours, they're somewhere else. They're just hopping in between timelines. It's when, sorry?
No, I know that just happened to me. I was looking for something. I looked at the place that I thought it wasn't there. And then I looked again, maybe in a few hours. It was exactly the place I looked. And so strange when that happens. So what's going on? Are we just jumping back and forth between timelines?
I find that learning to kind of like anchor into the timeline that you want to be in works better if you don't have attachment to what is going on. So I'll give you another example. So this was also like maybe last year with me, like these things happen to me, so then I can share and explain them to people. I was basically, so I've got my bedroom and my bathroom, and I've got this like vanilla scented soap that I use to wash my hands on my sink. My daughter has her bedroom and her bathroom, same vanilla scented soap. Okay. So this one day I go in my bathroom, I see that my vanilla scented soap is there and it's half full. Great, amazing. I go into my daughter's bathroom and I see that hers is empty. So I make a mental note and I'm like, okay, I must get a new one. So I go and look in the storeroom and I'm like, okay, I don't see one there. There isn't a new one. So let me go buy it. 20 minutes later, I walk back into my daughter's room and there is a full bottle of the vanilla scented soap. So first thing I do is I run into my own bathroom, like, did someone move it? No, there is my half full one. Then I ask everyone in the house and everyone looks at me like I'm mad. They're like, no, we didn't change or do anything. And then they said, I just hopped into a timeline where that was present because I didn't have attachment to the soap. It's not like I cared if it was there or not. I just kind of wanted it. And I was like, okay, well, and then I made a note of it. So I just hopped into a timeline where the soap was there.
No, that's great. So do you think we are, popping in, or do we exist on many levels, like a version of you in this other timeline, and somehow you cross? I mean, no one actually has the answer, but just what do you think is happening with that?
I think we have like a general timeline that we are navigating, and then through that one we have different options that we can go down with our free will. But I do believe that we have lessons and experiences. So our free will determines how we reach the lessons. So let's say I need to go from point A to point B. Okay, so if I'm, in alignment and I'm listening and I'm doing things, in integrity and whatnot, it'll be easy from point A to point B. But if I'm not listening and I'm, lying and not living, a healthy life and whatnot, then I'm probably going to do this and smash my head into point B. So I believe that we all have some lessons that we need to learn. This is a perfect example. I actually, they sent me this recently to use. So let's say someone is in a relationship, okay? So let's say you meet someone and the first 2-3 months, everything is amazing. And then all of a sudden you find them texting and messaging someone else when they promised you that they were going to be faithful to you, okay? You have two choices. You can either walk away or you can stay with them, okay? If you choose to stay with them, 2 years down the line, you then catch them cheating. That's going to be a harder lesson for you to learn than them leaving them in the first place when they were messaging. So this is kind of like an example of how the lesson can be learned. It can be learned in a gentle way if you are listening and in a space of trust towards your surroundings, yourself, and the universe, or it can be thrown in your face.
Great. No, I love that because we always have a choice, and then we're also given messages of potential timelines. So yes, you find someone doing this, a little red flag, and then it's like if you keep ignoring it, that timeline will lead to certain consequences. But let's get back to you in the sense that you've come here on a mission to activate people, bring people to higher levels, and you're connected to the ETs. Do you want to channel some ETs and see if there's a message, or
I can do some light language if you would
yeah,
like. I can do a little
is
bit.
it light language? But do you also interpret that, or is it just?
I speak both. I do light language in English, so I'll say what I'm doing as I'm doing it, and I'll say what's coming through as it's coming through. Yeah.
Now, are you doing this to activate people listening? What would be the reason? What would people get from this?
It depends. Like the codes are intelligent, they're smart, they go where they're most needed for whoever is receiving them. So someone might need, generally when I do collective work, it's usually emotions clearing and releasing, solar plexus, throat activations, heart opening, shielding, grounding. It really depends. But let's say that someone needs more activation in their heart center or more opening there. That's where they'll work for them. Let's say someone needs more clarity within their third eye and psychic vision. That's where they'll work for them. So they're intelligent and they work beyond, again, space and time. So my advice is always to listen with the heart and not with the mind, and not try and understand or make sense to what they're listening to, what they're hearing. So just to be really in a space of trust. Light language is the new technology that is coming through from the ET to help us and assist to raise the level of consciousness, to raise the vibrational frequency. So it really is a beautiful, vast, and versatile tool. It can be written, it can be sung, it can be spoken, it can be, I mean, I use gestures and hands to anchor codes in as well. So I find it like an incredible medium. Like when I started back in 2017, 2018, I mean, there were maybe like 3 light language channelers online. Now it's grown exponentially, and between 10 to 15% of my clients activate in their own light language, which I think is beautiful and amazing.
Well, maybe I'll activate in my own light language then too. So who will you be bringing through?
It depends. It depends.
Oh,
And generally, I channel from a higher version of myself, which is a 9th-dimensional Pleiadian being version of me. I do channel mantis codes occasionally. I do channel Arcturian technology occasionally as well. So it depends. Yeah.
do you see things when you're channeling, or are you sort of unconscious?
No. I'm here. So this is how my channel works. It's quite different from some other channelers. So I'm very integrated within my channel. So I'm here. Like I don't trance channel. So I don't leave and then forget and then come back. Like I'm here, I'm very present, I'm very embodied. I know what I'm doing, I know what's coming through, I know who's having access and whatnot. And the way how I see it energetically work is it's actually more than one channel that my system works on. So I've got my own channel for my own personal healing, and then I've got my collective channel, which is a little bit bigger. So it's almost like a channel within a channel within a channel that I work with. And based on what I'm doing and who I'm channeling, I choose which one to open. But I'm very present. Like you can ask me a question and I'll answer even if I'm channeling, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, I'm excited. So just before you do it, what do you need to do to start to channel? Is there something, a meditation or something?
I will just guide you guys in and say, close your eyes and anchor into your breath. It's more for the people listening than for me.
All right, let's do it. So let me spotlight you here as a speaker, and I'm going to pin you there. And I'm going to so go ahead, take it away.
Okay, so you can just close your eyes and anchor into the body as you find a comfortable breathing rhythm. With every inhale, you breathe in light. And with every exhale, you release all that doesn't serve you anymore. And as we call on the Archangelic Collective, Michael to the south, Uriel to the north, Raphael to the east, and Gabriel to the west, we call on Archangel Metatron with his blue cloak of protection from above and Sandalphon to seal the grid from below. As we call on our higher selves, our spirit guides, anyone else who wishes to be present for the greatest and highest good, you're welcome in the space. Opening. Opening systems. Traya siate kiro yeshena takakaria sierra takatria te korotria sera yate kieno tokumarai sierra taka tri areate korroa siena taka ria se kurra trie kiena te kuru ia shera yata tiana re orokoro isha opening, two more light, divine rays, anchoring, activating. Okay, so these are some codes of memory that are coming in. Opening, activating, attuning systems, expanding into more light, divine rays, anchoring, attuning, expanding blueprint, expanding structures, activating divine rays coming in, aurora rays, rainbow rays coming in, anchoring, Tian Maria trea te kuro sietaka, tiena taka treia te kasiet kura yatari, chiena taka trie ma koro aya sera tera shiro ataka ria sera opening, expanding into more light, divine rays, activating, attuning, takera ya sietaka, kratrieta kiera takra, opening, clean, releasing, letting go, removing, detangling, decoding, cleaning, releasing, uncleaning the solar plexus, cleaning, releasing, letting go, expanding into more light, divine rays, anchoring more light, yatakur yatakara ise atieshero kotokora yaishera yatakrasira yasero tokoro yisha, codes of knowledge coming in, anchoring codes of trust, self-love, self-trust, anchoring, expanding structures, activating divine rays, Christ expansion. Okay, atokumra yaseratiero korotria sera takaraisha, golden rays, angelic rays coming in, anchoring, rata kriesara yetaka, tre okorokota ishena yataka, tai mariate koro yesiero tokora tra yasie korokot kara yesera yana te korotrietaka, traina reate kora yasiera takara yesha. Some of you might feel a bit of nausea while this is clearing. Taya shera kiena taka tre ateo kukura ya siena ta miare to korotria siera ta kreko kurate I've got a little bit of technology coming through te kura sieta kura crack yet kumra siera taka tarachero kuna isiera takra, opening, expanding, attuning, finding your voice, opening up the throat, opening, connecting heart to throat, anchoring more light, divine rays, aurora rays, rainbow rays, anchoring into divine blueprint, okay, some of you are going to clear timelines as well. Reclaiming sovereignty through the throat, speaking up, expanding into more light, divine rays, anchoring, raya sieta kakara trieta kitara treo kukara isera taka riana reate korra tria isherayata te karo atrea kiera siera taka korra yatara tre na reatre kutkura isera kiero kut area ni naya rea sie koro kia te karia isherayatara tria siera takra tre okoro isani ate ra koro kora isia ntaya tera ishera yataka re raya sietaka reakiero tokona yataka ayara ishera isera, as we open, expand into more light, more compassion of self, more understanding of self, more codes of knowledge. All that doesn't serve us here. As we open, expand into unconditional love. Divine light, Koroania Terania Chia Sera Isiro Tokoro Koro Ishira Isira, and trust towards the self, Kiro Koroasi, you are protected, you are supported, you are anchored, you are guided, Yeshoro Isira Sira Tokoro Isira Taka, Ntria Tera Ishira Sina Taka, Rokukuro Ishira Yasara Tera, is reclaiming back your own sovereignty, Kiro Koro Isira Sira Tokoro as an individual sovereign being of light, Yetokoro Ia Sietaka. We let go of any doubt, any fear, anything that is holding us back. Letting go, 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 clean, releasing, 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 opening, releasing, opening, releasing, opening, 2 more light, divine rays, anchoring, 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 anchoring into blueprint structure. Yo 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 Karatrieta karotu kumrase raya shira taka kriate karotu kumrase rayeta kari taria kere unoro isirata reare ukora ukraish takoro ishirataka kriata krea sirataka naria ishiro isirata kara isirataka rasht 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 karate ukat erukora tre raya sirataka Nratro kumrasi kumrat kumrat kreate ku na shurukoro iterataka shura yetaka shukroe shuro yetaka shukroe shirataka shitaka shukuro shirataka
Wow. Are you okay?
Yes, of course. How are you feeling?
Well, I got the sense that you really use your body as an instrument. It's not like it's just you're actually something's happening physiologically with you as you bring this energy through. So are you saying words that you're translating, or are these sounds more just vibration than as opposed to symbols of?
Yeah, I would say that it's more like a vibration that works directly on the coded DNA structure of the energy field and of the system. And then the English kind of like comes more into sometimes to explain, sometimes, to say to people so that people can understand. But I mean, yeah, it's a combination of both, but light language really can't be translated verbatim. But my workshop at the Conscious Life Expo, I will be explaining more in depth how the light language works, how the frequency of it works, how the kind of like the different dialects work, and yeah, and just more maybe of like a theoretical. I'll be channeling there as well, but of a theoretical way, and how the body also works and acts as a channel, exactly like you say, like. My light language, like I'll write it, I'll sign it, I'll speak it, I'll sing it. It's very much an extension or an integration of, my soul and my human self.
Right. I do want to say that Althea will be at the Conscious Life Expo 2024 in Los Angeles. That's the LAX Hilton. I think the exact dates are February 11th, 12th, and 13th.
No, I think it's 9, 10, 11.
Oh, 9, 10. Okay. Actually, let me just pull up the I'm just gonna pull up the website for that, and they'll show people this. Yeah, here we go. Pulling up this website. Do you see that now? Yeah. Do you see that?
Yes.
There. Okay, great. So yes, it is the Conscious Life 22nd, February 9th to the 12th. This is at the LAX Hilton. You can get tickets at consciouslifeexpo.com. And there's going to be some incredible people here. Elizabeth April, you know Elizabeth April?
Yes, I think we're sitting a panel together. I think the Starseed panel.
Yeah, the Starseed panel. I think I'm going to be hosting that one.
Amazing.
There you are,
Yes.
Althea. I have an interview with Matthew James Brady coming up. He's a really brilliant AI person. That's on Monday. All these favorites here, even one of my all-time favorites, Whitley Strieber. You know Whitley Strieber?
No, unfortunately
The
not.
first to really connect with the gray beings publicly. Vivian Chavez, Arcturian, not even Starseed. She's actually from Arcturus. Do you recognize any of the people here?
Yeah, for sure. I've done some workshops and some online work with Sarah
Oh,
Breastman.
Sarah.
Yeah, and then Ishmael also. I've done some lives with as well. So it's going to be really incredible. Like so many beautiful people from like connecting and coming from all over the world. I'm very excited to be there.
Well, there I am. And lots of Seal, who's also a great channel. Have you heard of Seal channel?
No, I don't know him. I'm sitting a panel with Debbie Solaris as well. The
Oh,
one,
Debbie, I like.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
so the one the other Debbie is hosting.
Oh, this woman, Livia, she has a similar story to you. I think
Oh,
she's
okay.
Estonian, and she's bringing through light language and
Amazing.
lots of very interesting thing. I think she's going to be on the Starseed panel. So if anyone's watching these, I recommend coming. Zinka, who's one of my favorite people, she will be there. And Tangela, she has a community. What's her community called? I think it's called Starseed. Anyway, there's a lot of fantastic people coming to this expo. So if you're watching this, I'll put a link in the chat or in the description for people to sign up. And so you do a lot of private work. You do a lot of just groups. Talk about what's coming up as far as your groups.
Yeah, so I do a lot of one-on-one work and then I do a lot of workshops. I'm currently holding a masterclass next year for channeling. That one I hold every few months or so. I just held a workshop now for the 11/11. I've got a 6-week program, a 6-month program where I train light workers and energy workers. So if you're in the business or you're wanting to start off and you need a little bit of help, I train you to operate from a space of integrity. I teach kind of like different tools and techniques, how to shield, how to ground, how to balance, how to channel, how to activate if you want to activate in light language. Or I do one-off sessions as well. Most of my clients is people who do energy work, or just people in general who are moving through trauma and things like that. I do soul fragment retrieval. I'll do Akashic clearing. So if you're interested in knowing parallel past, previous, future lifetimes, I can do that for you based on your records and what is going on. That can help a lot, I find, in clearing patterns and things like that. So yeah, everything is on my website. I don't know if you're going to put my links below.
I will post your website. What is your website?
It's althealucrezia.com. Should I write it here?
Yes, write it so I can put it in the actual chat and then people can sign up. And while you're doing that, there's one more final question I'd like to ask you is the future. What is our ET connection with them coming here, or how does the future of planet Earth look? What kind of downloads are you getting about that?
So for me, disclosure has been happening on an individual level for very long. Like, I think that, it's just a matter of time before it goes more public. As for a timeline, it's really difficult to say because I find that things are shifting so quickly that, but what I have been seeing is exponentially more acceptance of what is going on, more people believing, more people questioning their reality, and more people wanting more. Just for example, people in the medical field, so many of my clients are people in the medical field who maybe 4, 5, even 3 years ago were super scientific, and all of a sudden they're actually no, something is shifting, something is not right, we need to figure it out. And I do think that obviously the lockdown was a very pivotal time. Since there, I've been seeing it exponentially, and what I've been seeing that is so beautiful is a very quick rise in the divine masculine. While 2 to 3 to even 4 years ago there was a big struggle, now that's been happening and flowing more. And I do see a lot of beautiful things happening. I like to kind of focus on the timelines where you know, the reality is beautiful and positive, and we working together, and there's free water and energy for everyone, and we all assisting and helping each other, you know. I do believe that there will be some sort of a wealth redistribution and economical restructuring to some extent. Is that going to cause chaos? I don't believe so. I think we are going to move through a swift integration with the technology. You know, we are clearing and healing Atlantean karma right now. So the technology that wasn't integrated in a healthy way back then is going to be integrated in a healthy way now. And we've already entered the lower tiers of positively polarized fourth dimensional density. So we already on the right track, in my opinion. So we just really need to just strive to be the best version of ourselves and hold our light so that others can see it, and then just carry on as we're doing.
You're right. We're here to be the best version of ourselves. And what you mentioned earlier, integrity is really a key for being at your maximum potential. I think you got something. And integrity is doing the best, living the maximum potential of your interactions with other people. You know, how can you serve and be kind and generous and, you know, let someone ahead of you online if they want to do, it's like simple things are integrity. And it's a practice. That is a practice. But what constitutes the divine masculine for you? Because that's something people, you know, have lots of different ideas about. What for you is that?
What do you mean, like in aspect, well, like?
Yeah, an aspect of, like you said, there's more divine masculine. What does that look like for you as a divine feminine? What does the masculine look like?
Yeah, well, I'm seeing a kind of like more masculines, more men that are, you know, waking up and understanding the balance within themselves, within their own feminine and their own masculine, and waking up and actually like assisting to do the work. While maybe 3 or 4 years ago, it wasn't, even like 2.5 years ago, it wasn't like this. And I'm seeing it a lot in my clients. 90% of my clients 3 years ago were women. Now it's about 50 and 50. So
wow, so yeah, there is an awakening in the general population. You're right, it has been a lot of women in this field, which I didn't mind, you know, it was fine for me. But, you know, it needs to be just universal throughout the population that this shift is happening. Of course, there needs to be that balance, absolutely. So thank you, Althea, for doing your part, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there in Los Angeles, February, 9th, 10th, 11th, at the LAX Hilton. Get your tickets. And just one thing that's coming up for you soon. What is coming up for you in the next couple of months as far as your own personal workshops? How can people find
yeah, so I've got I'm going to be taking in person also when I'm in Los Angeles. So if anyone wants an in-person session, I will be doing that too. I will obviously be holding my workshop there, and then I'm doing in-person workshop in New York as well on the 24th of February, which is the 24/02/2024. Powerful date. It's a Saturday. And then I haven't launched this yet, but I've got a workshop also coming up with a colleague of mine, Flo, on the 2nd of February. And that'll be 02/02/2024. And then I'm launching tomorrow, actually, my Costa Rica retreat. Where I'll only be taking maybe 10 to 12 people. It's going to be in November 2024, so there is a little bit of time. And it's going to be in Costa Rica. It's going to be a week long, and we're going to be doing a lot of clearing, releasing. It's a complete restructuring and rewiring of the system. We're going to be working with the elements. We're going to be channeling at a waterfall. We're going to be working with sacred cacao. So it's going to be very, very beautiful. And then, yeah, I mean, on my website, there's still all my workshops up. I've got workshops that you guys can get. On the recent one that I just did was on time and how to learn to control time within your own experience. I've got one on understanding psychic attacks, intrusive thoughts, how to anchor into abundance and the timeline of abundance. I will be holding a manifestation mentorship I generally try to do it in August because I like to do it over the Lionsgate, because that's kind of like when it's, you know, the most powerful, but I might do it a little bit earlier. Let's see. And then I've got a few other workshops on releasing attachment. Just, yeah, a whole bunch of different things that, yeah, people can just click and download, and they all come with light language clearing. I do a lot of lives as well on my Instagram, my YouTube.
Yeah. What is your Instagram, and what is that Instagram?
So it's at Light Codes by ALA.
Life Codes. Okay.
Light Codes.
Light Codes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Light Codes. I'll write you the link to that as well. Yeah.
Do that. Do that.
Adding all my links. Yeah.
Well, I'm so happy that we connected, and that you'll be in Los Angeles, and that you're so prolific in your work, and you're helping all these people just waking up. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so lovely to meet you and to be here.
Yeah. I think I'm hosting that Starseed panel at the Conscious Life Expo, so we'll meet there. And thank you all for watching. Have a really good online presence right on my YouTube channel, The New Realities. Thank you all for tuning in, and you subscribe to that channel. And what's your YouTube channel?
It's just Althea Lucrezia, my name and my second name.
Great. Okay, I'm Alan Steinfeld here with Althea Lucrezia. Is that right?
Perfect.
Okay. ET channel, Light